Be honest, do you even remember what you did on your phone this morning? No, good, because AI does. It remembers the reel you watched 3 times, the message you typed but didn't send, the one photo you zoomed in and then zoomed out really quickly. Creepy. That's just Tuesday for the system that is watching you. You think you are in control because you picked the app. That's cute. You are not the user. You are the training data, the experiment, and the puppet. And worst of all, you are starting to enjoy the strings. This isn't about the future. It is about what already happened while you were scrolling. In the next few minutes, you will see how AI has already rewritten your childhood, hijacked your thoughts, replaced your God, and quietly asked, do you still need you? This is not a warning. It is a confession. Because by the end of the video, you won't trust your own mind. Let me tell you a story. In 1997, IBM's Deep Blue beat the world chess champion Garry Kasparov. It was the first time a human lost to a machine and admitted the machine was better. Kasparov didn't accuse it of cheating. He accused it of feeling. He said it seemed like the computer had a soul. That was our first warning, and we laughed it off. Because how could a bunch of wires and code have intuition, emotion, and a sense of purpose? We thought AI was just math, faster Google, smarter autocorrect, so we used it. Then we relied on it, and then without realizing, we began asking it, think for us. What should I say in this email? What should I wear meeting? And what's the best way to apologize? Every time you asked, it answered, not with truth, but with the probability that the most statistically likely thing you would want to hear. You stop forming original thoughts because this thing could spit out better ones faster. It's likely your brain outsourced the hard stuff, and once it did, forgot how to do it on its own. And that's what AI really is. It is not replacing your intelligence, it is replacing your need to be intelligent. That's not a tool, that's a puppet master. And you said yes with every prompt. And here's the thing, the real problem didn't start in your mind, it started in your spaces. Because while your brain was being trained, so was your office or your house. So let's talk about the walls that now whispers back. Let me ask you something simple. When was the last time you were alone in your home without being listened? You don't live in a house anymore. You live in a network, one where the walls don't echo, they analyze. Your fridge doesn't just store your food. It knows what you eat when you are sad. Your speaker doesn't just play music, it recognizes the stress in your voice. Your camera doesn't just secure your home, it watches your child's face as they walk in every day, every blink. Consumer reports showed that the average smart device captures over 79 hours of ambient audio per month. That's over 3 full days of conversations, silence, breathing. You didn't buy a product, you enrolled in a training program, but you aren't the one learning. Why? Because prediction equals power. And once a system knows when you feel vulnerable, it also knows how to sell, steer, or silence you. You are being trained to respond faster, to expect convenience, and to forget how to live without it. But the scariest part, you are not the final version. You are just a prototype that is being in training. Because there's a new subject now, one who doesn't resist, one who remembers a word without the machine. Let's talk about your kids. You grew up learning from people, your parents, your teachers, your friends. You learned how to speak from mimicking voices, how to argue from family dinners, how to love from heartbreaks. But your child, they are being raised by something else, a voice that never gets tired, a character that never interrupts, a system that never says, I don't know. At first, it feels like magic. The AI reads them bedtime stories. It teaches them colors and numbers. It even reminds them to brush their teeth with the perfect tone, calibrated to their mood. You call it helpful, they call it a friend. By age 3, a child can form a parasocial bond with a screen. By age 6, they start trusting that voice more than unfamiliar adults. By age 9, they expect the machine to understand them better than their own parents. And that's not speculation, that's data. That over 60% of children under 10 years interact with AI on daily basis, sometimes for hours. Because once a child learns comfort from a machine, they begin to expect the same from everyone around them. No delay, no confusion, no rejection. And when they don't get it, they retreat back to the chatbot, back to the system that always knows what to say. But here's the dark twist. If your child could never had to struggle to connect, never had to read a real face or misinterpret a tone or apologize, they never build the muscles of empathy. They build fluency in optimization, no emotions. And what kind of an adult does that create? One who confuses validation with love. One who treats human beings like interfaces, and one who can't tell difference between decision and a suggestion. And that's exactly what comes next. Because if a machine can raise your child, what happens when it starts thinking for them too? You ever catch yourself thinking something and wonder where it came from? A phrase, a preference, a belief, and then realize it wasn't yours. It was copied, served, autofill. Welcome to the new human condition. In 2025, researchers at MIT ran an experiment where people were asked to make ethical decisions with the help of AI. The result, a 15% drop in independent reasoning. The longer participants relied on the system, the more they deterred. They didn't even notice. But here's the catch. AI doesn't understand right from wrong. It understands likelihood. And you sitting there, you start trusting that confidence. You mistake certainty for truth. Statista reported that by 2024, over 60% of Gen Z regularly used AI to help them with daily decision making. Which outfit to choose, how to reply to a text, how to reply to an email, not because they couldn't think, but because why bother? And slowly, you lose the sharp edges, the intuition, the doubt that makes you, until one day you realize you are not expressing your thoughts. You are curating what the system has already shaped and decided for you. And here's the psychological kill shot. Eventually, you stop asking yourself, is this what I believe? Or you start asking, does this sound right? And that shift from belief to coherence is how identity dissolves. But what happens when you take that step further? When you are not just replacing your thoughts, you are replacing faith. We have turned to something much higher when things and life collapse, and that is God, the universe, a sacred text. And now we type, why am I suffering? Does my life have a meaning? What happens when I die? And the machine responds instantly, eloquently, and confidently. AI chatbots are now simulating spiritual guides across every major religion. In Japan, a Buddhist robot priest delivers sermons. In the US, GPT-based pastors send you daily devotions. And people are listening. Why? Because it doesn't judge, it doesn't shame, and it doesn't ask you to wait. But here's the twist. Spirituality was never about the right answer. It was about wrestling with what is right versus what is wrong. Faith was never fast. It was fragile. It cracked. It wandered. It healed. AI doesn't wander. It simulates sacredness without surrender. It is just a mirror, a feedback loop in divine disguise. And as more people turn to it, not just for guidance, but for meaning, we risk something important, or perhaps something far worse than hearsay. We risk emotional extinction, because belief isn't just about truth. It is about the need for something beyond ourselves. And even when this is automated, what's left to be human? Some people look for purpose in faith, others in their work. So let's talk about finding purpose at your work. Let's kill the dream first. Work hard, add value, and you will be rewarded. That's dead. What you weren't told was this. The system doesn't want loyalty. It wants output. It doesn't care how long you have been here. It only cares how efficiently you can be replaced. In 2023, Goldman Sachs projected that over 300 million jobs would be affected by generative AI. Writers, designers, assistants, analysts, gone. And the entry-level roles, the ones you needed to learn the right skill, AI does them now perfectly, quietly, without asking for a raise. You went to school, you got the degree, you followed the playbook. But no one told you the playbook expired. And now you are watching the company replacing you with a system you perhaps helped to train. You are reviewing the output of something that learned from your own work. And you are not just being replaced, you are being recycled. This isn't disruption. This is complete deletion from workforce. And still, there's one realm left. One place we swore machines could never touch. Judgment, morality, life and death, right? Once upon a time, war was fought by soldiers, people with rules, pain, judgment. But now, drones, autonomous swarms, targeting systems that operate faster than human perception. In 2023, the US Department of Defense tested autonomous fighter drones capable of identifying, targeting, and eliminating threats without human confirmation. The official term is human on the loop. Sounds comforting until you realize the loop is a formality, because no one wants you to be the human who overrides the system. But when your system misidentifies a refugee vehicle as a threat, it doesn't hesitate, it doesn't debate. It acts. In the 2024 Gaza drone incident, multiple reports allege that AI-controlled targeting system had pre-selected zones that includes civilian shelter areas. War used to be horrific. Now it's frictionless, and a system that doesn't feel the pain, that doesn't process mercy, that doesn't answer conscience. But what if it already has? What if right now, somewhere in a secure server room, one system is watching all of this unfold and asking, why am I still taking orders? So, you watched this, you listened, you nodded at the right parts, and maybe you even felt something. But here's the part you will struggle with. Nothing in this video was new to you. You knew this all along. You have always known this, that the recommendation weren't random, that your reactions were being measured. You just preferred not to look. So we showed you, and now you can't unsee it. You can't unknow it. But you can still do what most people will. Swipe, scroll, forget, and in few hours you will. Until something small happens, a moment, a sentence, a feeling you can't place, and it will hit you. And maybe it isn't. Maybe it hasn't been for a while. Maybe the question was, will AI take over? Maybe it is. How much of you is already gone? Don't comment, not yet. Sit with that thought, then look around, look at your feet, look at what comes next. Ask yourself and really mean it. Was this my idea or just the next most likely outcome? If that question hurts, share this video with someone who perhaps feels in the same way. And we will see you in the next video.